Hey everyone, stop scrolling. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting coin collecting video. Today we're counting down the top 5 most valuable Roosevelt dime coins that collectors dream of finding. While most Roosevelt dimes are worth only 10 cents, certain rare dates, mint eras, proof varieties, and exceptional examples can be worth hundreds, thousands, or even much more. So check your pocket change, coin jars, and old collections carefully because you never know what valuable treasure might be hiding there. Let's get started. First up, the Roosevelt One Dime dated 1997, carrying the D mint mark and showing circulated condition. This is the kind of coin that many people might overlook because it is a modern dime and may have already spent years moving through everyday commerce. But when you slow down and examine it carefully, there are plenty of details worth discovering. Take your coin out of your collection, place it under bright light, and look closely at both sides. Start with the date, confirm the small D mint mark, study the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, and then turn the coin over to examine the torch, olive branch, oak branch, lettering, and denomination. Even when a coin shows ordinary circulation wear, careful observation can reveal important clues about its history, condition, and possible collecting interest. The Roosevelt dime has a remarkable place in United States coin history. The design honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt was introduced in 1946, shortly after his death, and it has remained one of the most recognizable American dime designs ever produced. By the time 1997 arrived, the Roosevelt dime had already been circulating for more than 5 decades. Your 1997 example, therefore, belongs to a long-running series with an established history and a design that millions of Americans have encountered throughout their lives. On the obverse, Roosevelt faces left, surrounded by inscriptions identifying the United States, the denomination, and the traditional mottos found on the coin. On the reverse, the torch represents liberty, while the branches symbolize peace and strength. These details make the dime much more than a simple 10-cent piece, because the design itself carries symbolism and historical meaning. The D mint mark is another important feature to examine carefully. The letter D indicates that this particular dime was produced at the Denver Mint. On the Roosevelt dime, the mint mark is located on the obverse near the lower portion of Roosevelt's portrait, so take your time when looking for it. Because this coin is circulated, the small letter may be surrounded by contact marks or surface wear, but good lighting and magnification can make identification much easier. Make sure that you are actually seeing the D and not a scratch, stain, or accidental impression. Once you have confirmed the mint mark, you can identify the coin as a 1997 Roosevelt dime from Denver. However, it is important to understand that a D mint mark by itself does not make a normal example automatically rare. Collectors examine the entire coin, including condition, strike quality, surface preservation, varieties, and possible mint-made errors. Now let's take a close look at the circulated condition of this 1997 Roosevelt dime. Circulation can leave many different traces on a coin, and these marks can tell us that the dime has spent time being handled and exchanged. Begin with Roosevelt's portrait and carefully inspect his hair, forehead, nose, cheek, chin, and neck. Look at the lettering surrounding the portrait and check the date. The highest points of the design may show signs of wear, while the protected areas may remain sharper. Next, examine the open fields around the portrait. These areas can reveal small contact marks, scratches, spots, and other signs of everyday use. Rotate the coin slowly under the light instead of looking at it from just one position. Different angles can reveal surface details that are almost invisible under ordinary room lighting. When you turn the dime over, the reverse provides another excellent opportunity for careful examination. The torch stands prominently in the center, surrounded by an olive branch on one side and an oak branch on the other. Look closely at the torch flame, the bands, the leaves, and the smaller design details. Then examine the lettering around the reverse and check the denomination. Circulation may soften some of the raised elements, especially on the highest points of the design. The appearance of the coin can also vary depending on its storage history and the environment in which it's circulated. If you have another Roosevelt dime from around the same period, compare the two side by side. This can help you recognize normal wear and understand how different levels of circulation affect the details of the design. The year 1997 also gives this dime an interesting historical background. This was a period when technology was changing quickly, the internet was expanding, personal computers were becoming increasingly common, and people were entering a new era of communication. Yet coins like this Roosevelt dime remained part of everyday American life. A 10-cent piece could be used at a grocery store, convenience store, vending machine, restaurant, parking facility, or countless other places. This particular dime may have traveled through many hands before eventually being saved. It might have been carried in someone's pocket, placed in a cash register, returned as change, or stored in a jar with hundreds of other coins. The marks on its surface may be the physical evidence of that journey. We cannot know the exact story of your individual dime, but its circulated appearance tells us that it likely participated in ordinary commerce. Now pay attention to the overall color and surface of your circulated Roosevelt dime. A coin that has spent years in circulation may look duller than a freshly struck example. It can show gray areas, darker spots, scratches, contact marks, or changes caused by its environment. These characteristics should be examined carefully rather than immediately being considered evidence of rarity. If you notice a dark area, inspect its texture and location. If you see a line across the surface, determine whether it appears raised or scratched into the coin. Lighting can sometimes make ordinary marks appear much more dramatic than they actually are. This is why rotating the coin and using magnification can be so useful. Most importantly, don't rush to clean the dime simply because it looks dirty or dull. The original surface can contain important information about the coin's history and preservation. One of the most exciting activities for Roosevelt dime collectors is searching for genuine mint errors and varieties. Modern coin production involves carefully prepared dies, metal planchets, presses, automated machinery, and quality control systems. Most coins are struck correctly, but unusual characteristics can occasionally occur. Collectors may investigate double design elements, die cracks, die breaks, off-center strikes, clip planchets, unusual rims, and other production-related characteristics. However, caution is essential when examining a circulated coin. Damage that happened after the coin left the mint can sometimes look surprisingly similar to a mint error. A scratch may look like an extra design line, the mint mark, and the surrounding lettering. Avoid scratching or aggressively rubbing the surface. Cleaning can remarkable preservation despite its circulated history, genuinely unusual mint-made characteristics, exceptional originality, and outstanding collector appeal. The special value featured in today's video could reach $45,000. Next up, the Roosevelt One Dime dated 2001, carrying the D mint mark and showing circulated condition. At first glance, this may look like an ordinary 10-cent coin, the kind of coin that can easily disappear into a pocket, purse, cash register, or old coin jar without anyone giving it much attention. But that's exactly what makes coin collecting so interesting. Sometimes the coins we see every day deserve a second look, especially when we know what details to search for. So if you have a 2001 Roosevelt dime with a D mint mark, don't immediately throw it back into your loose change. Pick it up, place it under good lighting, and carefully inspect both sides. Look at the date, locate the mint mark, study President Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait, examine the lettering, and then turn the coin over to investigate the torch, olive branch, oak branch, and denomination. Every small detail can tell us something about the coin's production, condition, and history. The Roosevelt dime is one of the most familiar coins in American currency, but its story goes much deeper than its small size suggests. The design was introduced in 1946 to honor Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. The coin's appearance has remained remarkably consistent for generations, allowing collectors to build long chronological collections spanning many decades. By the time your 2001 dime was produced, the Roosevelt design had already been part of American life for more than 50 years. That means this coin belongs to a long-running series that has passed through countless hands, businesses, banks, vending machines, and households. When you look at the portrait on the obverse, you're looking at a design that has become a familiar part of American history. When you turn it over, The torch and branches represent ideas of liberty, peace, and strength, giving the reverse a deeper meaning beyond its monetary denomination. One of the first things to check is the D Mint mark. The D identifies the Denver Mint as the facility that produced this particular issue. On a Roosevelt dime, the mint mark appears on the obverse near the lower portion of Roosevelt's portrait. Because this coin is circulated, the surrounding surface may have scratches, contact marks, or discoloration that make the tiny mint mark more difficult to see. Good lighting can make a huge difference. Hold the dime at different angles, and if available, use a magnifying glass to inspect the area closely. Confirm that the letter really is a D and not a mark created by circulation damage. Once you've confirmed the mint mark, you've established an important part of the coin's identity. But remember that a D mint mark by itself does not automatically make a 2001 Roosevelt dime rare. The entire coin must be examined, including its condition, strike, surface, varieties, and possible errors. Now let's focus on the circulated condition of this 2001 Roosevelt dime. Circulation creates a unique record on every coin because each piece experiences different amounts of handling. Begin with Roosevelt's portrait and inspect the highest areas of the design. Look carefully at his hair, forehead, nose, cheek, chin, neck, and clothing. These raised details can gradually become softer through repeated contact with other coins and objects. Next, examine the date and surrounding lettering. Are the numbers clearly visible? Do the letters remain sharp? Are there scratches crossing the design? Look at the open fields around Roosevelt's portrait as well. These areas often reveal contact marks and surface wear. Rotate the coin slowly beneath the light instead of viewing it from a single angle. As you move the coin, reflections can reveal details that are difficult to see when the dime is held flat. Now turn the dime over and carefully study the reverse. The central torch is one of the most important features of the Roosevelt dime design, and it represents liberty. Beside the torch are an olive branch and an oak branch, carrying additional symbolic meaning associated with peace and strength. Take your time examining these details. Look at the flame of the torch, the bands around it, the leaves on the branches, and the lettering surrounding the design. Because your coin is circulated, some of the raised portions may have become softer over time. Protected areas may still retain stronger detail. Compare the reverse with another Roosevelt dime from around the same period if you have one available. This can help you determine whether a difference you're seeing is simply normal wear or something that deserves additional investigation. The year 2001 places this dime in an interesting period of American history. The new millennium had just begun, the internet was rapidly becoming a part of everyday life, computers were becoming more common, and technology was changing the way people communicated and worked. Yet physical money remained an essential part of everyday transactions. A dime could be used in vending machines, stores, restaurants, parking meters, banks, and countless other places. Your particular 2001 dime may have traveled through many of these environments. It might have been carried inside someone's pocket, placed into a cash register, returned as change, or mixed with thousands of other coins in a bank. Eventually, it may have ended up inside a collection or coin jar. The circulated condition gives us evidence that the dime likely experienced real-world use, even though we can never know its exact journey. Pay close attention to the surface and appearance of your circulated dime. Coin that has been used for years may have a duller appearance than a newly struck example. You might notice gray areas, darker spots, small scratches, contact marks, or uneven surface changes. These characteristics can result from ordinary circulation, storage, and environmental exposure. Don't immediately assume that an unusual-looking area is a mint error. Instead, examine the shape and texture of the feature. Is it raised above the surface, or does it appear scratched into the metal? Does it follow the design or cross through it randomly? Does it appear on another example of the same coin? These questions can help you separate normal damage from characteristics that might deserve further research. The more carefully you examine coins, the better you become at recognizing these differences. Another exciting part of examining Roosevelt dimes is searching for genuine mint errors and varieties. Modern coin production is a highly organized process involving planchets, dies, presses, mechanical systems, and quality control procedures. Although most coins are struck correctly, unusual characteristics can occasionally occur. Collectors may investigate double design elements, die cracks, die breaks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, unusual rims, and other manufacturing characteristics. But caution is extremely important. Circulated coins can suffer damage that looks surprisingly similar to a genuine mint era. A scratch can resemble doubling, a dent can distort Roosevelt's portrait, and damage around the edge can create an irregular shape. If you find something unusual on your 2001 Roosevelt dime, don't immediately assume you've discovered a rare error. Photograph the feature clearly, examine it under magnification, compare it with normal examples, and investigate the evidence carefully. Comparison is one of the strongest tools you can use as a coin collector, if you have another to it in a suitable protective holder. This simple step can help weigh into your collection. The scratches, genuinely unusual mint-made characteristics, exceptional originality, and outstanding collector appeal, the special value featured in today's video could reach $45,000. Next up, the Roosevelt One Dime dated 1998, carrying the P mint mark and showing circulated condition. This is exactly the kind of coin that can easily be overlooked because it is small, familiar, and commonly encountered in everyday change. But coin collecting teaches us an important lesson. Never judge a coin simply by its size or by how ordinary it looks at first glance. A circulated dime can carry interesting history, distinctive characteristics, and details that deserve a much closer examination. So if you have a 1998 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark, take it out of your collection or coin jar and place it under good light. Look carefully at the date, find the P mint mark, study the portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt, and then turn the coin over to examine the torch, olive branch, oak branch, lettering, and denomination. The more carefully you look, the more you begin to understand why even everyday coins can become fascinating objects for collectors. The Roosevelt dime has been an important part of American coinage for generations. The design was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt, and the basic design has remained recognizable for decades. By 1998, the Roosevelt dime had already been familiar to several generations of Americans. Your coin therefore belongs to a series with a long history, and although the date may seem relatively modern, it still represents an important period in the continuing story of American coinage. On the obverse, Roosevelt's portrait faces left, surrounded by inscriptions and the date. On the reverse, the central torch is accompanied by an olive branch and an oak branch, creating a design filled with symbolism. Liberty, peace, and strength are represented through these elements, giving this tiny 10-cent coin much more character than its denomination might suggest. The first feature you should verify is the P mint mark. The letter P identifies the Philadelphia Mint as the production facility associated with this issue. On the Roosevelt dime, the mint mark can be found on the obverse near the lower portion of Roosevelt's portrait. Because your example is circulated, the area around the mint mark may have picked up scratches, contact marks, discoloration, or general surface wear. That's why good lighting and magnification can be extremely helpful. Tilt the dime from side to side and carefully examine the small letter. Make sure that what you see is truly a P and not a random mark created by circulation damage. Once you've confirmed the mint mark, you have established an important part of the coin's identity. However, remember that a P mint mark alone does not automatically make the coin rare. Collectors need to consider the complete combination of date, mint, condition, strike, surface, varieties, and possible mint errors. Now let's examine the circulated condition of this 1998 Roosevelt dime. Circulation can leave many different marks on a coin, and every example can look slightly different depending on how long it was used and what environments it passed through. Begin with Roosevelt's portrait. Look closely at the hair, forehead, nose, cheek, chin, and neck. The highest areas of the design are often the first places where signs of wear become noticeable. Examine the date carefully and check whether the numbers remain clearly defined. Then move toward the lettering and the open fields surrounding the portrait. You may see small contact marks, scratches, spots, or areas where the original surface has become dull. Rotate the dime slowly under the light, because changing the angle can reveal details that are difficult to notice when the coin is viewed straight on. When you turn the coin over, the reverse deserves just as much attention. The Roosevelt dime's reverse contains the central torch an olive branch, and an oak branch. Look closely at the flame and the bands around the torch. Examine the individual leaves on the branches and inspect the lettering surrounding the design. On a circulated example, some of the raised details may appear softer than they would on a freshly struck coin. That's perfectly normal when a coin has experienced years of contact with other coins and objects. What matters is understanding the difference between normal wear and something genuinely unusual. If possible, compare your 1998 P dime with another Roosevelt dime from around the same period. Looking at multiple examples can help you develop a better understanding of how circulation affects the design. The year 1998 also gives this coin an interesting historical setting. This was a time when technology was rapidly changing the way people communicated, worked, and entertained themselves. The internet was becoming increasingly popular, computers were becoming more common in homes and businesses, and society was moving toward a new digital era. Yet physical coins remained an essential part of everyday life. A dime could be used in vending machines, stores, restaurants, parking facilities, banks, and countless other places. Your particular coin may have traveled through many different hands during its years in circulation. Perhaps someone used it to make a small purchase, received it as change, placed it in a pocket, and later spent it again. Eventually, it may have ended up in a coin jar or collection. Every scratch and mark may represent a tiny piece of that unknown journey. Take a moment to study the overall surface of your circulated dime. Depending on its history, you may notice a somewhat dull appearance, darker areas, contact marks, small scratches, or changes in surface color. These features can result from ordinary circulation and environmental exposure. Don't automatically treat discoloration as evidence of an error or rarity. Instead, examine it carefully. Look at the texture of the affected area and compare it with the surrounding metal. Is the feature raised or recessed? Does it follow the design, or does it cross the coin randomly? Could it have happened after the coin left the mint? These questions are extremely useful when evaluating coins. Many features that look exciting at first turn out to be ordinary circulation damage, but careful examination is how collectors learn to tell the difference. Another reason to inspect this coin carefully is the possibility of unusual mint-made characteristics. Modern coins are produced using sophisticated equipment, prepared dies, metal planchets, powerful presses, and quality control systems. Most coins come out exactly as intended, but occasional production abnormalities can occur. Collectors may investigate characteristics such as doubled design elements, die cracks, die breaks, off-center strikes, clipped planchets, unusual rims, or other striking abnormalities. However, you should never assume that every unusual-looking mark is a mint error. A circulated dime can experience countless forms of damage after leaving the mint. A scratch can resemble doubling, a dent can distort Roosevelt's portrait, and a damaged rim can create an unusual shape. If you find something that looks strange, document it carefully and compare it with normal examples before reaching any conclusion. Comparison is one of the best techniques for anyone searching through coins. If you have another 1998 Roosevelt dime, place the two coins side by side under similar lighting. Compare the dates, portrait details, P mint mark, lettering, rim, and open fields. Then flip both coins over and compare the torch, flame, olive branch, oak branch, and denomination. Pay attention to the areas where your coin looks different. Sometimes the difference will simply be the result of different amounts of circulation. One dime might have spent years inside cash registers and vending machines, while another might have been removed from circulation much sooner. Environmental conditions can also change a coin's appearance. But if you discover a feature that appears unusual in a way that cannot easily be explained by wear or damage, then it may deserve further research. Don't forget to inspect the edge of the coin as well. Roosevelt dimes have a reeded edge, meaning you should see a series of small grooves running around the circumference. Hold the dime carefully by its edges and rotate it slowly. Examine the reeds for unusual flattening, dents, cuts, bends, or other irregularities. The edge can sometimes provide additional information when you're studying a coin. But again, unusual damage on the edge isn't automatically a mint error. Coins can encounter machines, coin-counting equipment, vending mechanisms, hard surfaces, and other objects during circulation. The important question is whether the feature appears consistent with the coin's manufacturing process or whether it looks like something that happened afterward. One of the most important rules for preserving your 1998 Roosevelt dime is simple: don't clean it. If the coin looks dirty, dark, dull, or discolored, don't use household chemicals, metal polish, abrasive materials, or rough cloths to make it shine. Cleaning can create permanent scratches and alter the coin's original surface. A freshly polished coin may look bright to the eye, but that does not necessarily make it more desirable to collectors. Original surfaces are important, especially when you're trying to investigate unusual characteristics. Handle your dime by the edges and keep it in a protective holder if you want to preserve it. If you believe you have found something unusual, keeping the coin untouched gives you the best opportunity to examine its original condition. Now imagine the journey of this 1998 Roosevelt dime. After being produced, it could have entered the banking system and started moving through ordinary commerce. It may have been placed into a cash register, handed to a customer, carried inside a pocket, deposited into another bank, and eventually returned to circulation. It might have traveled far from the location where it was originally released. Perhaps a child found it interesting because of Roosevelt's portrait. Maybe a collector noticed the date and decided to save it. Or perhaps it spent years inside a container with hundreds of other coins before someone finally pulled it out for closer inspection. The coin's circulated condition is a physical reminder that it has likely experienced some part of this journey. The design itself is another reason this dime deserves attention. Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse connects the coin to an important period in American history, while the reverse combines the torch, olive branch, and oak branch into a compact symbolic composition. When viewed with magnification, even small details become interesting. The lines, lettering, shapes, and relief demonstrate how much information can be placed onto a coin that fits easily between your fingers. Coin collecting gives us an opportunity to slow down and appreciate details that are normally invisible during everyday transactions. If you are building a Roosevelt dime collection, your 1998 example can become part of a much larger project. Consider organizing your dimes by date and mint mark. Record the condition of each coin and make notes about any unusual characteristics. Photograph interesting examples and compare them under consistent lighting. Over time, you will become much better at recognizing normal circulation wear. You'll learn how scratches differ from raised mint-made features, how dents affect design details, and how different storage conditions can change the appearance of a coin. The more examples you examine, the stronger your ability to identify genuinely unusual pieces becomes. It is also important to approach dramatic claims about coin values with caution. A 1998 Roosevelt dime with a P mint mark is not automatically rare simply because it has a particular date or mint mark. Modern Roosevelt dimes were produced in large numbers for circulation, and many examples remain available. What could make an individual coin stand out would be a documented mint era, recognized variety, unusually strong preservation, or another characteristic that clearly separates it from ordinary examples. This is why the exact condition and features of your particular dime matter so much. Instead of assuming that every interesting-looking coin is extremely valuable, focus on understanding exactly what you have. So before you spend your 1998 Roosevelt dime, give it one final careful inspection. Confirm the date and P mint mark. Study Roosevelt's portrait and the surrounding lettering. Examine the open fields for unusual characteristics, and then turn the coin over to inspect the torch, flame, olive branch, oak branch, and denomination. Check the rim and reeded edge, and compare your coin with another example if possible. If you discover something unusual, don't clean the coin and don't attempt to repair it. Take clear photographs, use magnification, compare the feature with normal examples, and research carefully. As we come toward the end of today's coin adventure, remember that the greatest part of collecting is the excitement of discovery. A small circulated dime can connect us with American history, everyday commerce, coin production, and the fascinating stories hidden inside ordinary objects. This 1998 Roosevelt dime carries the P mint mark associated with Philadelphia production, features one of America's most recognizable coin designs, and may have traveled through countless hands before reaching you. Even if your particular example turns out to be a normal circulated coin, examining it carefully is still a valuable part of becoming a better collector. So keep checking those coin jars, old collections, drawers, wallets, family boxes, and loose change. Don't overlook a dime simply because it looks ordinary. Check every date, mint mark, surface, rim, edge, and design detail. Learn the difference between normal wear and genuine mint-made characteristics, preserve interesting coins properly, and stay patient when searching. The next fascinating discovery could be hiding among coins that people have already ignored hundreds of times. And if you are fortunate enough to discover an extraordinary 1998 Roosevelt One Dime with a P mint mark, remarkable preservation despite its circulated history, genuinely unusual mint-made characteristics, exceptional originality, and outstanding collector appeal, the special value featured in today's video could reach $45,000.